Welcome back. Hey, what a delight to have back with us Megan Barth. She's the founder of the ReaganBaby.com website, an incredible resource. Let me encourage you to check it out, ReaganBaby.com. And the last time we had her on, it was pretty exciting, and we have a lot to talk to her about today. Hi, Megan. How you doing?
Great. Thanks so much for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Good to see you. Hey, well, listen, a couple of things going on. First of all, the vice president is being lured in, I think. The rumor is that he'll hook up with Elizabeth Warren. They have met already. It'll be a ticket right out of the chute of one that President Obama couldn't ignore and would endorse. Now, those are quantum leaps, but you think they're possibilities?
I think it's a strong possibility, Perry. Look at the state of the nominees in the Democrat Party right now. You have the frontrunner, Hillary Clinton, who is under FBI criminal investigation. And the latest news from the FOIA requests and the federal judge orders, there was just a document dump last night. And within that document dump, over to date, and just a few hours later, 150 emails are classified. She has serious issues. The Democrat Party has serious PR issues related to this scandal. And when you look at the, up and coming, the second tier candidate, as far as Bernie Sanders is concerned, he's a socialist. So the Democrats are in a quandary. Specifically with these two front runners. And they not only have a PR issue going on, they have an identity crisis. They aren't going to nominate a socialist like Bernie, because then they will expose themselves for exactly who they are. And they will have to adopt every last bit of the socialist platform and run on that platform in order to, win the election. And I don't think that that platform is winnable. So they are going to have to look outside of what their current candidates have, or who their current candidates are. And who better to bridge the gap between the blue dog Democrats and the socialist progressives of the Democrat Party but Joe Biden? And then who better to capture the steam of the Bernie Sanders phenomenon, who's filling stadiums, tens of thousands of people, than Elizabeth Warren. So it's a twofold for them. They can save themselves to look like moderates with Joe Biden, and then they can capitalize and appease the hardcore left within their party by having Elizabeth Warren on the ticket as well.
All right, so the question will be asked, what's the difference between a Democrat and a socialist?
Well, that question was asked by the mouthpiece of the DNC, Chris Matthews, and he asked that to the primary mouthpiece of the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she couldn't answer that question. When you look at the Democrats and how far left they have gone, I believe in their wake of moving so far left, it is similar to the malaise of Carter. So the only president that had Democrats named after him were Reagan. And the reason was because of the policies and the failures of Carter. Now we have Barack Obama, who has moved the party so far left on some, wedge issues such as abortion, immigration, as well as the amount of spending this administration has done. He has doubled the debt in 7 years. This left wing of the Democrat Party does not necessarily represent every Democrat. So you have a lot of affected Democrats that are looking for a home. And what's interesting, Perry, is that I was watching C-SPAN, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and Trump was speaking to the audience, off the cuff, of course, no teleprompter. And all the phone lines are lighting up from, the Democrats, independents, and the Republicans. And every single phone call from each of those groups was pro-Trump. That tells me that there are a lot of Democrats that feel as though they no longer have a home within the hard left a Democrat Party that seems to be rising up and kind of swallowing the blue dogs.
Well, it appears that Hillary's in serious trouble because the A-team at the FBI now is tracking her, and the whole issue of having government documents on a personal server is an issue. How they got there is another issue. Now that they are classified, the very nature of her position is all classified. So she's in serious trouble. And if Biden comes out, connects with Warren, it would seem to me that the president would automatically and quickly endorse the ticket.
I would think so, because, you know, silence is very loud, if you know what I mean. And Barack Obama has been unusually silent when it comes to Hillary, although he did meet with Hillary and Bill when they were in the Hamptons just a couple weeks ago. And after that meeting, he didn't come out and give any sort of support to Hillary. Yet, right after that meeting with the Clintons, he met with Biden and publicly gave Biden his blessing. So, you know, that's what I look for as far as, you know, the noise around the potential of a Biden-Warren ticket. You know, also after Labor Day, this coming weekend, Biden has invited the top Democrat donors to meet with him. And Biden, prior to the DNC summer convention in Minneapolis, met with Richard Trumka of the AFL-CIO. And the AFL-CIO has not endorsed Hillary. You know, the AFL-CIO is a very strong supporter of the DNC, tens of millions of dollars. I believe they gave up towards $70 million to the election of Barack Obama. So this is good money to be had and a good endorsement to be had, and they certainly aren't endorsing Hillary. Bill de Blasio hasn't even endorsed Hillary, and she and Bill helped de Blasio you know, win New York.
So can Joe win?
You know, it'll be interesting to see if he does throw his hat in the ring. It'll be interesting to see on what exactly he's going to campaign on. You know, he can't say everything's great, let's keep these policies going, when everybody else on the dais of the Democrats saying everything's horrible. So what exactly is he going to say? Is he going to run against Bernie and the progressives? You know, that's why I say the Democrats, the Republicans don't have the problem right now. You know, Trump is not necessarily a problem. When you look at the latest polls, everyone's doing quite well. And the ones that are doing quite well on the GOP ticket are the ones that are of not of the political class. They are the outsiders. I will be writing about this later today. It'll be on my blog tonight. So I think a Joe Warren ticket is a strong ticket. But again, what are they going to run on? Are they going to run on perpetuating and just continuing the policies of Barack Obama, which has given us, perhaps by the time he leaves and what's projected, a $22 trillion deficit? We've got an unemployment rate, 93 million people are out of the workforce. 59 million of those are women. You know, their numbers are bad, no matter how you slice it and dice it. And in 2016, Obamacare really takes hold.
Right.
And you are going to see a lot more people dumped off their insurance. I can't imagine actually what's going to happen in 2016 when it comes to the insured and the uninsured and just the healthcare in general. But it's going to get worse.
All right, let me take a break here, Megan. When we come back, let's go to the other side of the aisle to the R's, because there are some trouble spots over there. And it doesn't appear that he is knowing what to do with Trump. They're not willing to learn from his success. I mean, it's got its messy points, and we'll get into it with Megan Barth. And by the way, her website is ReaganBaby.com, and a blog and everything there. I tell you what, she's powerful and well connected, so you may want to check it out. ReaganBaby.com. We'll be right back.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
All right, well, Excuse me, welcome back. Sorry about that. Megan Barth, our special guest today, founder and proprietor of the ReaganBaby.com website, and check out her blog and get connected with her, ReaganBaby.com. All right, Megan, let's go to the other side of the aisle just for a moment. The Trump numbers are very impressive and continue to be very solid. I was taken by Mr. Letts when he was doing some of the surveys, and he kind of came out shocked that these numbers are solid. Frank Letts, you know him, the pollster there for Fox. But for some reason, the establishment on the Republican side is still threatened by him. Instead of embracing him, it looks like they want to throw some spike strips out in front of him. And the rumor today is it might even be Romney. What do you think?
Well, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, when you look at the latest polls, whether the Monmouth poll, actually, that just came out, the greatest rise is of the contenders on the right are those that are not of the Beltway. You have Trump rising. You have Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, who has the largest lead in the largest jump and just tied Trump for the lead. You have Carly Fiorina in third. And you have Ted Cruz, who speaks out against the Washington cabal, in fourth. And then distantly, you have Scott Walker. These margins of their lead are double-digit margins. They aren't slight margins. And notice who I didn't mention in that top 4 or 5. Bush. So the GOP is struck. I think it's dumbstruck. They really don't know what to do. I think they've been tone deaf for so long, and they've believed that people really just want to go along to get along. Well, based on the last November election, I would say they're completely wrong in that estimation. The last November election handed the GOP the largest congressional majority since World War II. And they were handed that majority based on the promises that they gave to the American people, which were to repeal Obamacare, replace it, stop Obama's executive amnesty, and basically stop the spending and the out-of-control spending of Washington, D.C. And the very first thing they did after they were handed that historic election was break every promise they made. So this backlash against the Beltway should be expected, yet they all seem, the Boehners and the McConnells and the Reince Priebus's and those within the Beltway, the consultants, the Karl Roves, seem not to want to accept the fact that the American people are speaking and speaking very loudly once again, and they're not going to, I guess, be fooled once again by the promises made by the establishment. And that's why you see these 4 folks within the GOP that have been speaking out against the Beltway, that bring a new, maybe fresh idea. They aren't connected politically. They have real world experience. You see these candidates rising and rising quite quickly and rising in double-digit numbers.
Well, it's been interesting, to say the least, and you're absolutely right. I was looking at Ben Carson's rise just in the last 3 days has been very impressive. Peggy Noonan wrote and said that the Bush-Clinton dynasty eras are probably over. People don't want that. And with the loss of Bush's numbers now, and in particular his 3 fundraisers, it appears that the establishment wants to use Romney to be the, like I said, the spike strip in front of Trump. I mean, they're not shooting themselves in the foot, they're shooting themselves in the vital organ.
Well, and they're also taking aim at their constituents. You know, these numbers aren't lying. These numbers aren't being pulled from thin air. The voters in majority did not elect Romney, or else he would have won. We had evangelical Christians sit on the side in that election. We had independents sit on the side in that last election. The voters are speaking very loudly right now. And if the GOP cannot beat a woman that's under criminal investigation, if they can't beat a socialist, then I would say that the GOP has their own identity problem and needs to regroup and rethink their strategy. Because right now you have a capitalist that is in the lead for the GOP by the name of Trump. You know, he didn't build a $10 billion industry or brand because he's stupid. You have Dr. Ben Carson, who brings real-world experience. He's a diagnostician. He's a brilliant, well-read man who brings a voice and a wisdom to Washington that I haven't seen in quite some time. And then you have Carly Fiorina, who, you know, navigated HP through one of the largest internet implosions and economic downturns within that sector, and who came out shining and who speaks a very strong message of you know, how to create jobs. We've got 93 million people out of the workforce, 59 million of those are women. The American people aren't looking for the go along to get along strategy again, to reach across the aisles and shake hands with the progressives, because that type of mentality and that type of quid pro quo arrangement within the Beltway has given us a $20 trillion debt and has given us these unemployment numbers. It's not sustainable. So this backlash, like I said, against the GOP is they're either going to learn from it or they are going to lose from it. That is their choice. They are either going to split their party or allow the Democrats to let the Democrats split their party between the conservative blue dogs and the socialists. You know,
it appears, Megan, that Trump's going to go on at this point and continue to have strong numbers with or without whatever the GOP is doing, and that is huge. And but in addition to this, do you think there'll be a wholesale cleaning in Congress because of this low rating? I mean, let's face it, Boehner, McDonnell, they have done nothing to push back on Obama. I would think that Boehner was vulnerable.
I would think so too, and you just reminded me of another poll, the Quinnipiac poll. If you take the Monmouth poll of those four that I had mentioned, Trump through Cruz, 65%. It adds up to a collective 65% of the voters are looking outside the Beltway. Then you compare that to the Quinnipiac poll, where 71% of all Americans are not happy with the state of the country right now. This is an opportunity for the GOP to capitalize on, and yet they're still looking for Romney. Trump is a train that, in my estimation, is going to be very hard to stop. The only person that's going to be able to trip up Trump is Trump. As soon as he apologizes for something, in my opinion, that's when his numbers are going to fall. If Warren and Biden come out together as a ticket, I believe it's going to force the GOP into securing their nominee and a little bit earlier, getting behind their nominee a little bit earlier with a vice presidential nominee ticket. So, you know, they're kind of fighting on equal playing grounds. What's also interesting, Perry, in that Monmouth poll is that conservatives that consider themselves, you know, more conservative or ultra conservative pick Trump over Cruz. And you can't really say that Trump is a true blue, hardcore, you know, evangelical conservative. You could say that about Cruz, but yet the hardcore conservatives on the right are still choosing Trump over Cruz.
I think the message that he's radiating here is, I'm going to get things done, because let's face it, Washington's stuck, and he's going to unstick it. I mean, that's the feeling you get.
Well, right. I mean, for 30 years, we've been talking about building a wall. We still don't have a wall. Yeah. Supposedly, there was appropriated money for the wall under the Bush administration for the wall to be built. It's still not built. Where's that money? You know, the American people aren't stupid. You know, but some of us are more political dogs than others. But when people are hurting, they pay attention. and they start really listening. You can't tell me that the GOP with Bush would have driven 24 million people to that first debate at Fox News. He simply does not have that much charisma. If he did, he would be leading the polls, or at least in contention. He wouldn't be losing fundraisers. So yeah, the American people want things done. They want a strong country. They want a safe country. It's very basic. And if we are a country without borders, we are no longer a country. If we're a country without laws, we are no longer a country. If we're not going to uphold the law and the will of the American people, then there is a problem with government, where the government is no longer working for the people, it's working for its own best interests. And that's why I think you see this rise of Trump, because he's saying, look, I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't even have political consultants. I don't want anybody's money, but I'm going to get things done.
Yeah, it's resonating very well. I got about 2 minutes left. Let me ask you this, Megan. Dr. Ben Carson, amazing. I've had him on the show on several occasions. He is just an incredible guy, and some of his responses to the questions has just been over the top common sense. He's seriously a contender. I don't know if he can outdo Trump, but he's certainly right up there. Do you think it's possible for a Trump Carson ticket?
I think it's possible. However, I think it would be more possible for a Trump Cruz ticket.
You're going to see that in Washington this coming week, right? Or next week?
That's right. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. They're doing something together against the Iran deal in D.C. I see that more as a possibility.
Okay.
Because then you'll have some legislative experience, which Trump and Carson wouldn't bring to the table. You'd have two political outsiders, which might give a lot of people heartburn, because we know you got to get things done in Washington, and you have to have some sort of insight in how to get things done legislatively. And so I would think a Trump Cruz ticket would be more likely. But there is a place for Carson in D.C., as I believe there is a place for Fiorina in D.C. Look, I'm very happy when I look at the GOP candidates. You know, I think that there's a lot of strong people on our side. So we don't need Romney, you know, to
Hey, thank you. You're a delight to have, and look forward to continuing this conversation over this next year or so. So keep up the good work. Again, it's ReaganBaby.com, where you can check in with Megan and all the things she does, and stay on top of it, because she's well connected. Thank you, my friends. Keep up the good work, okay?
Thanks, Perry, for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Again, that's ReaganBaby.com, and believe me, you'll find that to be a tremendous resource. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.